Hey YouTubers, it's Charlie. Thank you everybody that submitted questions on my Game of Thrones video. A lot of people wondering about Euron Greyjoy, Horn of Winter. Is it real? Is it not real? Is it the thing that's going to help bring the wall crashing down? So for the most part, we have to wait for news from the set. Let's get going though. So careful for spoilers if you haven't seen season 5 or you're not caught up on the show yet. Here we go. First question. Victor asks, do you think that Targaryens have a warg sort of power to connect with their dragons? I definitely think it's hereditary, but dragon bonding I think has some components that get into like blood magic, things that the show and George R. R. Martin haven't explained yet. If you haven't read the short story The Princess and the Queen, it deals with the dance of the dragons, the Targaryen Civil War. It kind of gets into dragon bonding a little bit more. There's a lot more people riding dragons fighting each other. On the show, we just saw Daenerys ride Drogon, so we're just now seeing more visual examples of how Daenerys is connected to her dragons. I don't want to say warging is a deeper ability, but it's like you're literally transporting your consciousness to another body. So it seems even more powerful. Daenerys' ability still seems kind of like a passive ability. Like, she isn't calling Drogon. Drogon just kind of senses that she's in danger and comes to help her. At least that's the way that Dan and Dave explained it, the way they try to do it on the show. Like, there have been cases where dogs will try to help their owners when they sense that they're in grave danger. Warging would be like you get in danger and then you transplant your consciousness into your dog's body and then use them to run and get help. So I think Daenerys' ability to control her dragons is more of like a relationship like you would have with your pet. You can train them to a certain degree, but they still have free will. Next question, Frederico asks, I didn't read the books, but it looks to me like the Horn of Winter is more of a legend than a real thing. Could it be Mance's way to keep all the free people on his side? I definitely think he talks a big talk, but he wouldn't have been able to stay king of the free folk if he hadn't been able to back it up. Usually the way to do that is just to be a great mediator and give people what they think that they want, or at least let them think that you're going to give them what they think they want. It probably would have been to his benefit to downplay mystical artifacts though, because the more you hype stuff up like that, the more dangerous it gets if you don't deliver. Outside of his inner circle, I am kind of curious, like outside of Tormund Giantsbane, Lord of Bones, like all the people in and around Mance, like in his close inner circle, I'm wondering how much the free folk knew about the Horn of Winter. Next question, Lelucid asks, why is it that everyone talks about different religions and different gods, and no one mentions the drowned god? I want a video on Ironborn culture. Bunch of unpronounceable things, I'm not even going to try to pronounce those. So yeah, okay, Ironborn, the problem with the Ironborn is that the show has kind of like pushed them off to the side. It sounds like we're going to be getting more Ironborn stuff in Season 6, so really, you're not going to start seeing a lot of Ironborn talk happening until we get episodes. I was never a giant fan of the Ironborn. They're certainly interesting, but they're a terrible bunch of people. Like, I mean, if you really like characters that are bad, like if you like Ramsay-type characters, then you probably also like the Ironborn. Just like, we don't give an F about anything, we're going to do whatever we want. Screw the king. So most of the times when I'm doing videos, I try to focus on stuff that the show is doing, just because that's like the common point of reference for most people. But if we do get a lot of Ironborn stuff in Season 6, then I will totally do a lot more Ironborn videos. Next question, Huderic asks, do you think that the phrase could be touched upon in the upcoming season, or even in Winds of Winter? Especially since they're a powerful player, elevated by the Lannisters. Well, I mean, the Freys are always going to be important because they control the Twins, and if you want to get an army into the north, that's the only way to do it unless you sail them all the way around. There were some rumors about Walder Frey going to Belfast, so we might get some Frey stuff. I actually kind of thought that they were going to drop it until the actor that plays Walder Frey was like, I think I'm coming back, I'm not sure. It's always kind of vague when actors say that, and the actors that we know are coming back aren't saying anything. Like, if he were actually coming back, he would be under a non-disclosure agreement, so he wouldn't be able to say that he's coming back. But just talking about the show, there's a couple different places they could show up. They'd be of use. So there's the North Remembers storyline that's going to be happening. Sansa's on the run right now. They're casting some Northern Lords, so they could get caught up in a Northern revenge storyline, like revenge for the Red Wedding. And I don't think there's any way that they're going to be left out of the books completely. Next question, James asks, do you think that they'll still do the Horn of Winter and other bits in later seasons just with different characters attached to link it in? So you mean just like skipping over it now and then bringing it back later? They are doing some things like that in Season 6. Like, they've passed the books, but they're grabbing little bits that they skipped from previous books and doing them in Season 6, like the Citadel. I think it's totally possible, but I'm not expecting any Deus Ex Machina situations whereby like a powerful artifact turns the tide of a battle. Dan and Dave have talked about the way that they feed viewers information. They assume that you don't know anything about the books, so if they want to do a storyline, it has to flow logically from things that have already happened on the show. Like they've been teasing Lyanna Stark, so they're probably going to be doing some more Lyanna Stark stuff. Otherwise, there would have been no reason for Sansa to have that conversation with Littlefinger in the tombs at Winterfell. So if the Horn of Winter is going to be a big thing on the show, just expect people to start talking about it in the early episodes before something actually happens with it. Like someone isn't just going to grab it in episode 9 and blow it without them teasing it before that. It would be really crazy if Benjen came back with the Horn of Winter, but I'm hoping that we see Benjen again through Bran's storyline. Still alive until confirmed dead. I know a lot of people think that he's the Night's King, but the Night's King's facial structure just looks way too different for him to be Benjen Stark. They'd have to recast the actor and it'd feel like a big middle finger without them setting that up. Next question, Andrew asks, after a lengthy discussion, my sister and I came to a few possible conclusions. 1. The War for the Throne will end at Season 7, and whoever's left standing will battle the White Walkers in Season 8. Or number 2, the War for the Throne doesn't ever really end. There just aren't that many people left over after the war with the White Walkers. So just to answer, I think logically what's going to happen is people will realize that there is a bigger threat than just fighting each other for the Iron Throne. So by Season 8, by like the final big battle, War for the Dawn, however it goes down, there won't be a lot of infighting amongst the great houses. A bunch of high-profile people will end up dying, then they'll come to an arrangement and pick the strongest candidate to become the next king of the Seven Kingdoms. Somebody to uphold a truce, maybe, somebody to keep the peace. That's why a lot of people are writing fanfiction about Daenerys getting married to Jon Snow and then being king and queen of the Seven Kingdoms. But if there's a truce to be made to win any final battle, you guys can write your own fanfiction about who you think should be put in that arranged marriage. Someone has to take the throne, and they have to get married and have successors. So say what you will about Daenerys being barren, there have been some clues in the books that might not be the case, but we'll see. Next question, Jose asks, the producers have addressed a specific scene that they had no idea how to do in Season 5 due to its size and amounts of CG. They moved it to Season 6, and I'm thinking it's the wall coming down. Well, that would be like a huge thing. I'm not really sure what comment you're referring to. I don't remember the producers saying that, but if they did, they could be talking about a couple things. They could be talking like about a really big flashback scene. The Doom of Valyria would be a good option. I think it's a little bit early for the wall to be coming down. I think that wouldn't happen until we start seeing White Walkers much, much closer to it. And if they're going to be explaining a lot of the magic on the show, then doing flashbacks can help add a lot of context, especially through Valyrian flashbacks, which even George R. R. Martin hasn't done yet. He did say there would be some Valyrian flashbacks in the books, but he hasn't done them yet. He didn't say Winds of Winter or Dream of Spring, but I'm guessing probably both books. So the takeaway is just that the wall coming down isn't the only big CG thing that they could do, but it definitely would be one of the most badass. That'd be the perfect IMAX episode. Next question, Freddie asks, do you think that Dany and Jon would meet at all? If so, would it be as enemies or as allies? Well, I think, assuming that Jon Snow comes back in some form or shape, I think he would be mistrustful of her at first, especially because she would be arriving with a major force, especially with the dragons. If there's anybody that has any common sense in them, though, it is Jon, so he would probably be the first to see, okay, they're probably not trying to kill us. They probably would have done that already if that was their plan. So we need to find a way to work together. If he was able to jump through the mental hoops that it took to go help the wildlings in episode 8, then he can totally jump through those hoops again to work with Daenerys and her army. But that is all based on the assumption that he is coming back. Next question, Effie asks, since they seem to be merging parts of Aegon Young Griff's storyline with Daenerys's, do you think that she'll head to Dorne in Season 6? Well, actually, I kind of think that she's probably going to rescue herself. I think that'd be more interesting. But as for heading to Dorne, a lot of that depends on what they cut out, what they do with the Dorne characters, because it seems to be like a dramatic departure for the books for that storyline. I really want to think that Prince Doran has like some grand master plan. Like I want to believe in the Dornish master plan. Like he's secretly been working with Varys in the Targaryen restoration. But that remains to be seen. They could completely cut that storyline out. They have been filming a whole lot in Spain, so it sounds like there's going to be a lot of interesting things happening in Dorne. We just don't know what yet. My guess is, though, that someone from Dorne would try to treat with Daenerys before she would try to treat with Dorne. Next question, Alyssa asks, curious on your predictions for things that could take place at the Wall. If Jon comes back, will he be going for revenge? What about Tormund and the Wildlings? What will they do if Jon doesn't come back? Well, the Wildling, like if Jon doesn't come back, I'll start with that. They would have to just find a way to survive on the gift. And the remaining Night's Watch people, the dirt bags, would probably just cut them off. Like they wouldn't help them anymore. I think I've talked about it before, but if Jon does come back, I don't think he'd turn around and just start stabbing all the Night's Watch people that betrayed him, but he probably would chop at least one person's head off. The rest of them would probably be so cowed with fear at the idea that he has a certain level of immortality, like he can come back from the dead, that they would just crap their pants. Surprise, surprise, there's nothing you can do to get rid of me, so you better bow down. As for other stuff, I really do think that we're going to see the White Walkers move on the wall by the end of the season. We saw that episode 8 battle, so the White Walkers are going to be back. They're not that far, like Hardhome isn't that far from the wall. The White Walkers can move their army pretty quickly. But thank you so much everyone for submitting questions. These are always a ton of fun to do. I'm really interested to see what kind of stuff comes from the set in the next couple months. We've started to see some pictures, and there's always rumors about actors going, but really you start to go crazy once you see actors in costume on set. Congratulations to this week's giveaway winner, Mike F. You win a $20 Amazon gift card. Just be sure to message me on the back end of my channel so I can get your contact info. And shout out to James and Sophie. Happy anniversary. I'm always happy to give people shout outs on like anniversaries and birthdays and stuff. I always like hearing about families that watch my videos together, which is why I try not to curse too much, because some people watch the videos with their children, even if their children aren't allowed to watch Game of Thrones on television. Ben Affleck has even told funny stories about searching YouTube with his kid looking for Frozen videos for him to watch. Just picture him singing Let It Go with his little kid in his Batman costume. Sad Batman sings the Disney hits. That is why YouTube will always be so much more fun than actual TV. So right now I'm taking suggestions for next week's bonus video. Be sure to subscribe to get that. If there's anything specifically you guys want, just let me know. There's still all kinds of stuff we can talk about. I'll think about doing some Ironborn stuff too, at least as non-spoilery as possible. But while you guys wait for that, you can click here to learn all about Arthur Dayne and the Tower of Joy, and you can click here to learn all about Jaime Lannister's history. Also kind of crosses over with Arthur Dayne a little bit. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Let's high five. I'll see you guys tonight.